A woman, a historian, uncovers a cryptic doppelganger hinting at a secret in time and history. As she investigates, she discovers that Keanu Reeves may be more than just an actor. He could be a time traveler. Thrust into a battle to preserve history, she must navigate a tangled web of time and decide if she can figure out the truth and find the true message. If you like stories like this, please like, subscribe, and click that bell so you never miss the next upload. Dr. Eleanor Vance, a historian specializing in the 20th century, was a woman obsessed with patterns. Not the pretty kind found in textiles, but the subtle, almost invisible threads that connected seemingly disparate events across time. Her office at the University of Chicago was a testament to this obsession. Walls covered in timelines, maps dotted with pins representing key historical moments, and bookshelves overflowing with historical texts, biographies, and academic journals. Stacks of papers threatened to topple over, each one containing some piece of the puzzle she was meticulously trying to assemble. The air in the office was thick with the scent of old paper, strong coffee, and the faint, almost metallic tang of archival ink. Recently, however, her focus had narrowed, zeroing in on a single, improbable point of convergence: Keanu Reeves. It started, as these things often do, with a fleeting observation, a whisper of the unusual and the mundane. While researching the life of photographer August Sander, specifically his People of the 20th Century project, Eleanor stumbled upon a portrait from 1920s Germany. The subject, a young man with a striking, almost unsettling resemblance to Keanu, was identified only as Herr Schmidt. The black and white photograph captured the man's serious demeanor, his eyes holding a depth that seemed to transcend the era. Intrigued, a flicker of something more than academic curiosity igniting within her, Eleanor began digging. She meticulously searched through Sander's archives, cross-referencing names and dates, but she found no other record of a Herr Schmidt associated with Sander, no further mention of this individual. Yet the resemblance was uncanny. The man's posture, his gaze, even the slight tilt of his head. It was all Keanu, down to the subtle curve of his lips and the almost melancholic set of his jaw. It was as if Keanu had been plucked from the 21st century and placed into the stark reality of Weimar Germany. Dismissing it as a bizarre coincidence, a trick of light and shadow, a fleeting resemblance that her pattern-seeking brain was exaggerating, Eleanor moved on, attempting to refocus on her primary research. But the image of Herr Schmidt lingered in her mind, a persistent echo in the quiet corridors of her thoughts. Then, a few weeks later, while procrastinating on a particularly dry academic paper, she encountered another anomaly. While idly watching a documentary about the construction of the Hoover Dam, a brief, almost subliminal clip showed a worker in the background, his face obscured by shadow and distance. But the profile? Undeniably Keanu. The brief glimpse, a mere few frames of film, was enough to send a shiver down her spine. This time, the date was 1934, the height of the Great Depression. Eleanor's curiosity, now bordering on obsession, was piqued. The seed of a theory, however outlandish, had been planted and begun to sprout in the fertile ground of her analytical mind. She started compiling a database of these Keanu sightings, a digital collection of the bizarre and the improbable. A grainy photograph from the 1968 Paris student protests, capturing a fleeting glimpse of someone who looked like Keanu amongst the throngs of demonstrators. A blurry figure in the background of a newsreel from the fall of the Berlin Wall, a face partially obscured by the jubilant crowd. A fleeting glimpse in a crowd scene from a film set in ancient Rome, a Roman citizen seemingly out of time and place. Each instance was fleeting, ambiguous, easily dismissed as coincidence or mistaken identity by a casual observer. But the sheer number of these occurrences, the consistent pattern of Keanu's presence at pivotal moments in history, began to form a compelling, if utterly improbable, narrative, a constellation of anomalies that defied easy explanation. Her research took a strange, almost unsettling turn when she began looking at not just where Keanu appeared, but also when. She noticed that his appearances clustered around periods of significant social or technological upheaval, epochs of transformation and change. The invention of the printing press, democratizing knowledge and fueling the Renaissance. The burgeoning scientific revolution, reshaping our understanding of the universe. The Industrial Revolution, transforming society and ushering in a new era of mechanization. The dawn of the internet, connecting the globe and ushering in the digital age. Keanu, or someone remarkably like him, was present at the fringes of these transformative moments. He wasn't leading revolutions or inventing new technologies. He was simply there, a silent observer, a quiet presence at the edge of history, a witness to the unfolding drama of human progress. He was like a still point in the turning world, a constant amidst the chaos of change. Eleanor's colleagues, initially intrigued by her research, eventually dismissed it as fanciful, a product of pareidolia and an overactive imagination, a classic case of seeing patterns where none existed. They suggested she take a vacation, get some fresh air, and perhaps focus on a less speculative area of research. But Eleanor knew what she was seeing. She wasn't claiming Keanu was immortal, or a time traveler in the conventional sense, jumping between eras in a time machine. She was proposing something far more subtle, a hypothesis that danced on the edge of accepted reality, a theory that defied easy categorization. Perhaps, she theorized, Keanu was a kind of temporal anchor, a point of stability in the ever-shifting currents of time, a living embodiment of the constant amidst the variables of history. His presence, she speculated, might act as a subtle balancing force, preventing history from veering too wildly off course, subtly influencing the flow of events, keeping the river of time from overflowing its banks. Her relentless research led her down a rabbit hole of esoteric theories, quantum physics, the philosophical implications of time travel, and the very nature of time itself. She explored the concept of the multiverse, the tantalizing idea that multiple realities exist simultaneously, branching off from each other at every point of decision, and the possibility that Keanu existed across these realities, subtly influencing the flow of events in each one. She even delved into ancient myths and legends, searching for archetypal figures who seemed to embody this idea of a timeless guardian, a silent protector of the timeline. She studied ancient texts, searching for whispers of a being who walked through time, a mysterious figure who appeared at crucial junctures in human history. The breakthrough, or what Eleanor perceived as a breakthrough, came not in a dusty archive, but in a chance, serendipitous encounter at a science fiction convention. Eleanor, seeking a break from her intense, all-consuming research, a brief respite from the labyrinthine corridors of her theories, attended a panel on time travel, a subject that had become inextricably linked to her obsession with Keanu. During the Q&A, a man in the audience asked a seemingly innocuous yet profoundly insightful question about the butterfly effect, the idea that even the smallest change in the past could have massive, unpredictable consequences in the future. Eleanor, struck by the man's insightful query, the almost knowing glint in his eye, approached him after the panel, her heart pounding with anticipation. They struck up a conversation, and Eleanor, emboldened by the anonymity of the convention, the sense of shared interest in the improbable, shared her research. Her voice a mix of academic detachment and barely suppressed excitement. The man listened intently, his expression never betraying surprise or disbelief, his gaze steady and unwavering. When Eleanor finished, her voice trailing off with a mixture of hope and trepidation, he simply smiled, a kind, understanding smile. "You're closer than you think," he said, his voice soft yet resonant, carrying a weight of unspoken knowledge. He introduced himself as John. No last name, just John. Over the next few months, Eleanor met with John several times, each encounter shrouded in an air of mystery and intrigue. They met in quiet corners of libraries, out-of-the-way cafes, and even once in a quiet park under the watchful gaze of ancient trees. He never directly confirmed her theories, but he offered cryptic hints, subtle nudges in the right direction, pieces of a puzzle that seemed to be constantly shifting shape. He spoke of time not as a linear progression, but as a vast, interconnected web, a tapestry woven with threads of cause and effect. He talked about the delicate balance of cause and effect, the intricate dance of past, present, and future, and the importance of maintaining that balance, of preventing the threads of time from becoming tangled or broken. He never explicitly said he was Keanu Reeves, but he never denied it either, a silent acknowledgement that hung heavy in the air between them. One evening, Eleanor received a message from John, a simple text message with a time and a location. He asked her to meet him at a small, unassuming coffee shop in downtown Chicago, a place she had never noticed before, tucked away on a side street. When she arrived, her heart pounding with anticipation and a touch of trepidation, John was already there, sitting at a corner table, a cup of coffee in front of him. He looked older than she remembered, a weariness in his eyes, a sense of quiet resignation etched on his features. The vibrant energy she had sensed before seemed subdued, replaced by a quiet melancholy. "You've come far, Eleanor," he said, his voice soft, a hint of sadness in its timbre. "You've seen the patterns, the connections. You understand," he repeated, the words hanging heavy in the air. Eleanor nodded, her heart pounding in her chest, a mixture of excitement and fear swirling within her. "But I still don't understand you," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "Who are you?" John smiled, a sad, knowing smile that seemed to carry the weight of centuries. "That's not important," he said, his gaze shifting to the window, looking out at the bustling city street, the constant flow of people, the relentless march of time. "What's important is the work. The balance," he repeated, the words echoing with a deeper meaning. He paused, looking out the window at the bustling city street, the endless flow of traffic, the constant hum of urban life. "Time. It's a river, Eleanor," he said, his voice low and thoughtful. "A powerful, relentless river, constantly flowing, constantly changing. And sometimes it needs a gentle hand to guide it," he finished, his gaze returning to hers. He turned back to Eleanor, his eyes, those familiar, deep eyes, meeting hers, holding her gaze with an intensity that made her breath catch in her throat. "You see the ripples, the echoes," he said, his voice almost a whisper. "You understand the interconnectedness of things, the delicate balance of cause and effect. That's your gift, and your burden," he added, the words hanging heavy in the air between them. He stood up as if preparing to leave, a sense of finality in his movements. "Don't seek answers, Eleanor," he said, his voice soft yet firm. "Seek understanding. The truth isn't always what you expect." He paused, his eyes holding hers for one last moment. "And remember," he said, his voice trailing off, a hint of warning in his tone. "The river flows on," he finished, the words echoing in the quiet coffee shop, seeming to resonate with a deeper, almost mystical meaning. And with that, he was gone. Just like that. He simply stood up, offered her a final, enigmatic smile, and walked away, disappearing into the crowd on the street outside, leaving Eleanor sitting alone in the coffee shop, the weight of his words settling upon her like a heavy cloak. She looked out the window, at the city, at the flow of time unfolding before her eyes, the endless river of moments flowing past. She didn't know if John was Keanu Reeves or some other being entirely, a guardian of time, a timeless observer. She didn't know if time travel was real or just a figment of her imagination, a product of her research-fueled obsession. But she knew one thing. The patterns were real. The connections were real. And the river flowed on. And perhaps, just perhaps, there was someone or something quietly guiding its course, a silent guardian ensuring that the river of time continued its flow, that the delicate balance of history remained intact. She thought of the countless moments she had glimpsed, the fleeting images of Keanu, or someone remarkably like him, at the edges of history, witnessing pivotal events, a silent observer of humanity's triumphs and tragedies. Was he a time traveler? An immortal being? A figment of her overactive imagination? She didn't know. And perhaps she realized it didn't matter. What mattered was the pattern, the undeniable presence, the consistent thread woven through the tapestry of time. She reached for her bag, pulling out her notebook, the worn leather cover soft from years of use. She flipped to a blank page, the crisp white paper a stark contrast to the jumble of notes and theories that filled the rest of the book. She began to write, her pen scratching across the page, capturing the thoughts that swirled in her mind, the questions that haunted her. She wrote about the river of time, its relentless flow, its power to shape and reshape the world. She wrote about the delicate balance of history, the intricate dance of cause and effect, the butterfly effect whispering through the ages. She wrote about the possibility of temporal anchors, individuals who existed outside the linear progression of time, subtly influencing the course of events, maintaining the delicate equilibrium of history. And she wrote about Keanu, the enigmatic figure who seemed to be woven into the fabric of time itself, a silent guardian, a watchful presence at the edge of history. As she wrote, the coffee shop began to empty, the other patrons drifting away, leaving her alone in the quiet space. The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the tables, painting the walls in hues of orange and gold. The city outside the window twinkled with lights, a vast network of interconnected lives, each one playing a small part in the grand narrative of human history. Eleanor continued to write, lost in her thoughts, her mind racing with possibilities, her heart filled with a sense of wonder. She felt a strange connection to the past, a sense of being part of something larger than herself, something that stretched across centuries, across continents, across the vast expanse of time itself. She paused, her pen hovering over the page. She looked up, gazing out the window at the city lights, the river of time flowing before her eyes. She thought of John's words. Don't seek answers, Eleanor. Seek understanding. She realized that he was right. The answers weren't important. What was important was the understanding, the recognition of the interconnectedness of all things, the awareness of the subtle forces that shaped the course of history. She didn't need to know who Keanu was or how he existed outside of time. She simply needed to understand the pattern, the message that was being conveyed through his presence, the quiet reminder that time was a river, and that it needed a gentle hand to guide it. She closed her notebook, a sense of peace settling over her. She didn't have all the answers, but she had something more valuable. She had a new perspective, a deeper understanding of the flow of time, the delicate balance of history, and the subtle influence of those who existed outside the conventional constraints of time. She knew that her research would continue, that she would continue to explore the mysteries of time and the enigmatic figure of Keanu Reeves. But she would no longer seek definitive answers. She would seek understanding, a deeper appreciation for the intricate tapestry of human history, the subtle threads that connected past, present, and future. And she would remember John's words, the quiet reminder that the river flows on, and that sometimes it needs a gentle hand to guide it. She stood up, gathered her things, and walked out of the coffee shop, into the night, into the flow of time, ready to continue her journey of discovery, her quest for understanding. The city lights twinkled around her, a million stories unfolding, a million lives intertwined, all flowing along the river of time, guided by forces seen and unseen, influenced by whispers from the past, and shaped by the possibilities of the future. And somewhere, she knew, in some time, in some place, Keanu was watching, a silent guardian, a timeless presence ensuring that the river continued its flow, that the delicate balance of history remained intact.